Hello and welcome to Writer Rant, author advice in 5 minutes or less because I have to get back to writing and so do you. So this week I'd like to talk a little bit about traveling. As we all know, most stories that are really good, yeah, they are probably character based because the reader really gets into the character's mind and can really relate to how the character reacts in certain situations. But what if your character is your setting? What if you decide, oh, I need a character who's very bohemian, very artistic, whatever, and as a result, you have that character in New York City, for instance. Now, how would you go about describing the city that this character lives in every day? And they have to figure out, where do they get food? How do they do laundry? How do they get around? I mean, all those little details. It's like, how are you going to know that? Those kind of details really add a second layer just of believability to your story. So the question is, well, how do you get that information? And I would almost say the best way to get information about your setting, especially if it's a setting in the real world, is to travel there. Now, I understand that, especially as writers and all, which is kind of the case for all artists, who are the poor, suffering types, we don't have money to go travel, let alone, you know, pay rent or eat for that week just because of the nature of how much you have to sell your art in order to make a living. So yeah, travel isn't necessarily available to as many people who are trying to make a living off of writing. But for those who are doing it as a hobby, who have a secondary income from a day job or whatever, consider, hey, I want to go on this trip somewhere, and if you have in the back of your head, oh, there's a story that I want to write, there's a character who lives there, then kind of go with an ulterior motive. Kind of go and see, what is it like to live in that city? It's really getting to know your setting better so that you can create that believable story. It's all the senses. It's the touch, it's the taste, it's the smell. It's just kind of the feel of the location that you really can't get if you don't travel there. I mean, yeah, you can do some research online. You can do Wikipedia or go on Google Maps and kind of place place the camera down there and kind of look around, and it's like, yeah, that gives you a good sense of scale at the very least. But perhaps it doesn't even give you a sense of how long transit takes because it's like, oh yeah, I can hike 2 miles easy. But when you're hiking 2 miles in a city, like there's a lot of things you don't consider, like construction or the sidewalks closed or any of those kind of things that you start to kind of figure out, oh wow, these 2 miles actually took a lot longer than I thought because of all these other variables I never even considered before. And so with those variables, suddenly, oh hey, you can work that into your story. It's a matter of, oh hey, your character needs almost a conflict with the city. It's kind of this give and take of, hey, they're living in the city and everything's great, and they're accomplishing their dreams, or the city's like pushing them back and just kind of giving them a hard time. And so, like I said before, if you're on a budget, use travel guides. Go to the library, and they've got travel guides there for a lot of different locations that you might not be able to travel to. But at the very least, you'll get a sense of, hey, here's what the city's like, at least from a traveler's perspective. And you could kind of then imply what it's like for somebody who lives there at that point. So, what do you think? Where are some places that you've traveled for research for a story or a novel? Uh, drop those stories down below, and we'll give them a look. And if there's anything else that you're frustrated with in terms of writing or reading, drop a comment below as well, and maybe I'll get to it in a future episode. So thanks for watching this week's Writer Rant. I'm Benjamin M. Weilert.